Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post these videos throughout the week. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. I'm sorry. I still have that cold. What was I saying? Oh, I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. They are throughout the world. So all you got to do is get on to BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a questionnaire, and they will place you with a licensed master's level or PhD level therapist, either in your area or that can do international. So there that is. Thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, so today's question is a follow-up to Monday was Christmas. Wednesday's video, which was on emancipation of minors. So this one's going to be about adult protective services, because what I heard was, I'm a ward, or I'm a, bloody hell, what is that word I'm looking for? Because my brain is totally not working today. A ward of the state, or I'm a Britney Spears conservatorship. There we go. I've got a conservatorship. They're abusing the funds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is when you would contact, if you feel your funds are being misused, if you are being abused by a caregiver and you are an adult, you can contact Adult Protective Services. Now, Adult Protective Services is what is available in Arizona. So you just go to the Arizona Department of Economic Security, or you can just type in Adult Protective Services, and that pops up. Now, there should be something similar to that in your state. Every single state has some form of adult protective services to protect, the elderly, or, the disabled, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that are legal adults. So anyway, Adult Protective Services, you can file a report online. They're open Saturday and Sunday, state holidays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can call them, or you can file online. So just go look up Adult Protective Services in your state, and that should have the information you need. What is abuse, neglect, and exploitation? Abuse can take many forms. Not all abuse is seen with the naked eye, obviously. Abuse can take many forms, including physical abuse, including intentional infliction of harm and injury, sexual abuse or sexual assault, emotional abuse, unlawful imprisonment, so not letting you leave, not letting you get a job, not letting you go out, etc., etc., etc. Neglect is the deprivation of food, water, medication, medical services, shelter, cooling, heating, supervision, and other services necessary to maintain minimal physical or mental health. Exploitation, and this is all according to Adult Protective Services. Exploitation is the illegal or improper use of an individual or their resources for another person's profit or advantage. This can include misusing cash, credit cards, or bank accounts, stealing money or household goods or property, forced panhandling, or prostitution. And this can also include, I'd like to include this in my little rant here, this can also include if the person is receiving funds from the government and the caregiver is simply taking those funds and using them for their own, not for food, not for rent, not for, they're like buying themselves stuff. That's an improper use of funds. So that is what I hear a lot from people who are in these situations. Abuse and neglect and exploitation occur for many reasons. Also, individuals can be victimized by friends, family members, or strangers. And then it goes into, what could possibly be going on. So there is that. So I would strongly encourage you that if you are having some sort of, like if you're in a conservatorship and you feel you're being abused, will it cause problems if you call Adult Protective Services? Well, it could. You need to be aware that they may not side with you, and that is something to keep in mind if you do choose to call Adult Protective Services. There's been cases where I have encouraged clients to call Adult Protective Services because to me it was obvious there was abuse going on, not of the client, but of another family member. And Adult Protective Services was like, oh no, no, we don't see the pink elephant, so that was annoying. And it caused a huge problem in the family because, of course, the people doing the abuse were like in denial about it. So anyway, it could backfire on you is what I need you to know. So if you do choose to call Adult Protective Services, dear Lord, my hair is doing the Watusi without me. If you do choose to call Adult Protective Services, make sure you have your documentation lined up so that, say for example, they find out you're calling Adult Protective Services and they start trying to cover their trail. So you want to get all your documentation before you make that phone call. Because like I said, oftentimes if they're really abusive, if they're really like, taking the Social Security check or misusing funds or abusing you or withholding things or keeping you imprisoned or whatever, as soon as they find out that Adult Protective Services are involved, they'll start trying to cover their hind end. So you want to get all your documentation in a row before you call, and do not let them know you're calling. Make it clear to when you call the Adult Protective Services that, hey, I feel endangered here. And if they find out I'm the one that called, then Houston, there's going to be a real huge problem. So you let them know that. This needs to be anonymous. They cannot know that I was the one that called. And, and then make sure you have all your documentation. So, if you can get your hands on the fact that you're supposed to have a Social Security disability check coming in every month, and that there's no record of where this is going, and oh look, they're buying themselves stuff, So, and it does happen more often than people would like to imagine. So, my recommendation would be call them, get your stuff in order, get all your evidence. You need your evidence. You can't just make a statement and expect them to act on it. And that's what I told this other client. I'm like, you need evidence. And of course that didn't happen, and that's why it got covered up. So you need evidence. You need your documentation of what's going on. You need witnesses. You need people that you can call and say, hey, I need you to back me up on this. So get your evidence together, give them a call, tell them that it's a not good situation and that you need to be anonymous. And hopefully that will get things moving in the right direction. But like I said, if you don't have your evidence together, if there's not blatant, and that's the thing, it's like in this state, I swear to God and all it's holy, Arizona is so bass-ackwards, you know what I'm saying. It's like they wait until somebody dies before they change how things are done. And that's what happened with DCS, Department of Children's Services. They waited until several kids died or disappeared, and then suddenly they were like, oh, maybe we need to change things. They're just morons. Don't get me started. Anyway, so the other thing to think about is request a social worker. Request somebody to come in and do checks on you. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're concerned, then request a social worker. If you're on Access, which is the state insurance, then call them and say, this is what's going on and I need a social worker to make sure I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, this is the follow-up to that, because I had a lot of people saying, oh, well, I'm an adult and it's, a caregiver or a parental unit or whatever that's doing this. So like I said, you're going to need to have your evidence together, then call them, call Access, get a social worker, make sure there's eyes on it. That's what you want. You want eyes on the situation. Oftentimes, if abusive or neglectful caregivers know there's somebody watching, they will, at least for a while, as long as the watching is going on, behave themselves. But that's the problem. Then as soon as the watchfulness goes away, then they start back up with their same, because that's what abusers do. So anyway, I hope that answered that question. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so Sunday, I'm going to be talking about strangers are gold, kids are dirt. Why do narcissists treat other kids like they're, holy among holy and treat their own kids like a pariah. So we're going to talk about that. My dad did the same thing. So we're going to talk about why they do that. It's not you. It's not you. Can I just... It's not you. So, all right, guys. Ugh, gross. Anyway, thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I am going to go lay down now. All right, I will talk to you guys on Sunday at noon. Bye.